All right, so today is July 31st, 2020, and this is the AMA, or Ask Me Anything. I'm Aggroed. Matt will not be joining us today, but I do hope to get him here next week to go kickstart off August, and hopefully we'll have some pretty good stuff to go share with you. All right, so we recently put out a post that as Mare Dice are in the works, they should be coming here pretty shortly. Non-zero chance it's next week. It might be the week after, but the Orbs replacement should be here soon. And you guys can start putting your questions in. The first question I see is from Foggy Bottom. Can you update us on any gains from the Ubisoft Labs partnership? Generally the Ubisoft Labs thing is done in person in Paris. Because of COVID, it's not happening there. So this is done much more virtually, and the meetings are a little bit less frequent. What we're doing right now, the big one that we're working on, is the new player experience. So they noted that the new player experience needs some revamping. The way that new players will sign up has been altered. And that should be, I don't think it's rolled out yet, but that should be rolling out shortly. And then we're also working on like a whole new tutorial system to go, basically handhold people through their first battle. And hopefully that makes it easier for them to stick around. Carrie Allen, who's part of the marketing team here, has built a bunch of videos. So hopefully we'll get those to find a home. On the website, maybe in a separate library, possibly in the frequently asked questions section. But here the goal is to go answer as many questions for new users as possible and get them comfortable playing the game. So I don't know. Those are some of the big topics that we're working on, and getting the new players situated. But that goes back to Ubisoft. Ubisoft is trying to help us with that. It seems like we'll be getting some. The plan? It's a big corporation, so I can't always say like, yes, this is exactly happening. But we should, by the time that we roll out the new player experience, we should be working with them to get some game testing done. So they have kind of like a testing lab, and they'll even like track eyeballs and all this other stuff. And really try to help us nail down our new player experience. So normally I think the pace of this stuff is a little bit more aggressive, but again, COVID and doing it remotely rather than locally in Paris has tripped that up a little bit. Other questions. I see Crypto Caden is asking, when moon, sir? The village people are hungry. Yep. Everybody always wants to know that. I can't. That's not the kind of question I'll answer, but I do think that's pretty funny. Are there other questions? I mean, you guys have actually been. It's been fairly quiet. Oh, and Matt's here. Hot damn. Matt, is there anything you want to
go? Who?
You? Yeah, you're busted. I gotta go change. Crap. I wasn't expecting you, so let me go put in a. Let me change my mic setup here, and then maybe you can go give a somewhat of a product update to the people, because I know that there's literally no amount that you could tell them. You could like be live streaming you as you're coding, and they're still gonna say, "What is he up to?" So, Matt, do you want to talk us through kind of some of the developments that are going to go into the game fairly, what I hope is fairly soon?
Yeah, the main, so there's, I guess, two big projects that I'm working on right this second. One is obviously all the collection score stuff. So in the latest airdrop post, we mentioned we're going to do maintenance on Monday to start adding the collection power calculations. So, that'll just help give an idea of like where different accounts of different sizes and different types of cards and different leagues, where they stand with collection power. And that'll help us get to reasonable levels to get to each each different league. So the goal is, we don't want to make it too difficult, like overly difficult for people to get into higher leagues, but at the same time we want to make it so that you can't get into higher leagues if you don't have any cards. And I'll mention, a lot of people are like, oh, that's horrible for new players and new player experience and this, that, and the other. But so I want to be clear that like Splinterlands is much more similar to games like Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or physical card games in that respect than it is to the Hearthstones or Clash of Clans, in the sense that like, when you play Magic, no one expects to like not spend any money on cards and just play a lot and grow their deck, grow their collections through daily quests and things like that. It's just not, it doesn't make any sense when the cards have value, or the cards are in this, limited collectibles. But, games like Hearthstone or Clash of Clans or whatever, it's a totally different thing. They can easily give out a bunch of crap to people just for playing, without spending any money, because it's not worth anything. It doesn't matter to them. Like, they just give out. There's no limits to how many Hearthstone cards they can give out of each type. So we're in a way trying to combine both of those. But the key thing is that you are going to have to spend some money or put some money into the game in order to move up. If it's ever the case where you don't have to do that, then it's going to be a big problem for everybody over the long term. So, but there's definitely ways where if you're a better player, right, and you're able to, use smaller sets of cards or just focus on certain cards or rent cards or do whatever, we have lots of people who manage to do pretty amazing things with smaller collections. You'll be able to earn more and move up faster with less investment than other people. So that's sort of what we're going for as far as balance there. So, the limits, the collection power limits are basically saying you are going to need to have at least this many cards in order to be able to even have a chance of getting up into that league. But then it's up to players how they go about getting those cards, and then what they do with them. And that there's going to be leaderboards that we're adding for the league. So, you might only have enough cards to get into Silver League or whatever. But if you're really good at that level and you get towards the top of the leaderboard, you could earn additional rewards that other people wouldn't. And those rewards will also slowly increase your collection power. And, you could then potentially move up into Gold League faster than other people. So that was a really long explanation of how that works and what we're going for. But hopefully that makes sense.
So we have the collection score, and that's it's going out in phases. Phase 1 is we built it, and now we're going to display it. We're not yet making it do much on the site. We want people to sort of get used to seeing this number, and for us to make sure that it's calculating exactly as we want. And then there's phases. Then there's later phases that start changing how people can move between the leagues based off of the collection power. So that's one big piece. The other big piece that you're working on?
Yeah, I'll just answer Nerd's question as if you only have 10 packs worth of cards, that will likely not be enough to get into Gold League. But if you've used those 10 packs and earned a bunch of reward cards or bought cards on the market or leased cards, then you could get there. But I also want to mention that we fully expect that we're not going to get this 100% right on the first time. So we're going to do the best we can. But if we're going, for a season or so and there's clear issues, we'll adjust as necessary, as we kind of always have. So, things aren't going to be set in stone here. And then the other thing that, the other main thing that I'm literally working on right now is the Asmare dice. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't even know how to pronounce the stuff in our own game. So we're going to we announced it's going to be 20 new cards, 6 of which are going to be summoners, 1 for each splinter. and we're kind of working on going through like designing new cards. I don't think you guys appreciate how huge a process this is, because we literally go through like every other card in the game and try to make sure that each card that we introduce is different and unique in some way, or fits into different slots that certain splinters don't have, and that they're not like too overpowered or underpowered compared to other similar cards. So it's really a huge process, and I don't know, while we're on the AMA, if you guys want to if you have any cool card ideas you might want to throw in there to the chat, I'll see if we can put those in. But yeah, it's a really hard process to kind of go through and design all these cards and try to make them interesting, usable, and properly powered. Yeah, there's a couple questions. So we'll be having 2-mana summoners with buffs. No, I don't. We're never going to have 2-mana summoners with buffs, I don't think, because that'll just clearly destroy the existing 2-mana summoners, right? If there's a 2-mana summoner with any buff, then you would never need to use the existing Epic Beta Edition summoners. So we don't plan to do that. Like, I never want to do anything where it's like, okay, now this existing card is no longer useful in any situation anymore. The plan for the new summoners is they're likely going to be 3-mana cost rare summoners that each grant an ability to all friendly monsters. So that's all I'll say right now. Everything is still subject to change, but that's the plan. So it'll be more of a decision. Do you want to use the existing 3-mana summoners that give a stat buff or debuff, or do you want to grant your monsters an ability? And that'll a lot depend on the rule set and things, obviously.
And it's worth noting, because you just mentioned the airdrop. We're about 9,000 packs away from the next airdrop. So if you want a chance at getting this next legendary summoner, you're sort of running out of time to go pick up some packs prior to the next airdrop. Then he'll show up in the packs, but if you want them as the actual airdrop, time's slipping here.
Well, this is for Lure Deep Swimmer, not for the Asmeri dice cards.
Right. Those. Do you want to talk about airdrops with Asmeri dice cards?
Yeah, real quick. I just too curious had a question. I heard that proposal a few times from a few different people, and I think it's awesome. The proposal is that instead of having the season rewards be based on your ranking at the end of the season, which is really based on how you play in the last 10 minutes of the season, at least in the top spots, just have the top 50 or top 100 players each season be eligible for a tournament, an anytime tournament, and then that will determine who gets the top rewards and so on and so forth, which I think is a really great idea. It gives everyone the opportunity to compete without dealing with if they're available to play right at the end of the season or whatever, and I think it'll make it a lot more based on your skill in the game and not just what happens in those last 10 minutes. So I really like that idea, and I would like to plan to do it. It's more of but that's going to be after our current list of things. We're not stopping anything we're currently working on to do that, so it'll be a little bit out, but we'll see. Maybe after the collection power stuff is done, that would be a good Cryptomancer project, potentially.
Okay. No, any chance to come back to the old reward structure for tournaments when the prize was distributed to 32 and not just 16 as it is now? That time you promised it was a temporary cut from 16 to 32 until the problem of level 1 accounts is solved with implementation of round 2. I think this problem is solved now. Yeah, I'm sort of waiting for the collection power to get in there, and then start thinking through how many accounts is the right number of accounts. That if it's much more challenging for the weaker accounts to spam a tournament, then I don't mind spreading it out a little bit more. I mean, when I spread out the prizes now, that there's still too many times where it's like, all right, here's a level 1 deck in a champion tournament that happened to catch some buys, and now they're in the money, which is that's like an exploit. That's not what we want to see happen. So
Yeah, so that's also where collection power comes in. That's sort of like phase 4 that we haven't talked about a lot yet, but the plan is kind of to have a collection power requirement for tournaments. So, and it'll be not just your regular collection power, like if it's a gold foil only tournament or an alpha only tournament or whatever, it'll just calculate your collection power for specifically the cards that are allowed to be used in that tournament. So it'll ensure that the people, we sort of have a crappy version of that in now where it like won't let you join a gold card tournament if you have less than like 6 cards, but we can be much more fine-grained to make sure like the tournaments have people who are competitive in the sense that they have a decent collection. So I think that'll allow us to play around with the prize payouts and stuff more and spread those out more.
Foggy Bottom is asking, will the first dice airdrop be time sensitive instead of number of packs for people who are asleep at launch? I don't think that we're expecting 50,000 packs to go in the first 24 hours. But if they do, would you be willing to extend the airdrop to at least the first people in the first 24 hours?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, if you think about the number of dark energy crystals, and these are only purchasable with dark energy crystals, so the number required to buy 50,000 packs is more than are available. So unless everyone starts burning all the cards in their collection, there'll be probably a big jump when they're first launched, but I don't think we'll hit the first airdrop right away. It'll slow down pretty quick just because of dark energy crystals. But I mean, if somehow that doesn't happen, we'll try to make sure everyone has a chance to get involved. I think there's one question from Monkish that we missed.
Oh, yeah.
Will there be any change to the number of potions given out in quests now that we can't use them on reward cards? So that's another thing that goes into the whole collection power thing. So the whole reward structure is likely going to change a lot once collection power is integrated, meaning we're limiting the levels that people can get to. So one of the main issue we have now is it's pretty easy for someone to create a bot army of hundreds of accounts and without buying hardly any cards for them, and they can get up into gold or diamond or even slightly higher leagues. And that makes it so we have to be very careful how much we give out from rewards for quests and other things. If that doesn't happen anymore and getting into the higher leagues requires actual investment into cards, then we can give out more rewards, because there's the investment that leads to those rewards. So I think a lot of the reward structure will change in the amounts of different things we give out after that happens. But that's the type of thing we're going to see how it goes for a little while, because that's one of the things I can't predict, right? As much as I look at the numbers and things, there's no way I'll be able to predict, what's going to happen or how that's exactly going to shake out. So we're going to run it for a season or two, see how it goes, and then adjust the rewards as necessary so that it makes sense.
They're asking you about your fidgeting, Matt. Matt,
sorry.
if you've never listened to Matt live, I don't understand how he doesn't go through like 50 mice in a year just with the amount of scrolling that he does while on calls.
No, it's not the mouse. It's they're actually old promo cards, old Splinterlands promo cards that I play with.
Is? I figured that you were just scrolling your mouse, but you're shuffling?
Yeah, you can hear this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, huh. Well, yeah, I'll try to send a picture of how destroyed these cards are. In fact, sometimes I do it on my desk, which makes a louder sound, and it annoyed my wife so much that I have to put a little paper towel to do it on, so it's not as loud.
All right.
I also have some of the Steam silver rounds I like to keep. I don't know, but I can't wait to get Hive versions. Yeah. Make some noise with those.
Oh, yeah, that's a terrible sound. All right, will there ever be higher tiers to either fit under Champions or go beyond Champ League?
I hadn't planned on it, I don't necessarily think we need to fit in more tiers, but
If we
I guess it's something we can consider.
if we 100x the game or 1000x the game, then sure, why not?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the type of thing of, if it seems to be a big issue or something that will really help, then we would definitely consider it.
Since potions ain't sellable nor transferable, can you guys please add a burn feature to it? What do you think about burning potions?
Yeah, the whole idea of potions and giving them out as rewards is just like, it's a thing to encourage people to get an open packs. So we need some things that we can give out that don't have a monetary cost to us or to the business, which is also a monetary cost in a way to all of you, all the players and stakeholders, because it affects the economy. So, potions were a good thing to give out, and people can't trade them or burn them or sell them, but it just encourages people to open pack. I do agree and understand. And the whole thing, by the way, with the reward cards was it turned potions into not that, right? Then all of a sudden potions basically are just giving out more rewards, which was not the intended thing, and why that was a problem. So I agree there's probably too many potions giving out as rewards right now, but we just kind of talked about that, and that's what the collection power is hopefully going to help address. So that's, we'll kind of see how collection power goes. We'll hopefully be able to reduce the potions, and then, see if that's still an issue.
All right, you guys have started running out of questions. All right, so what about so we have collection power. We have dice. What do you are you getting close enough to start predicting an ETA for the dice?
Well, the whole I think the dice cards and everything will be ready pretty soon, but then we threw in the whole airdrop kind of monkey wrench. That's a new thing that needs to be built for that. So I don't know. I hope within the next few weeks at most. We probably need a couple more art items that take a little bit. So there's just a lot of little things to put together for the dice. So I'd say it should definitely be in August. Hopefully not too late. But it all depends on how many things come up in that time.
Does collection power calculate only owned cards, or it calculates the delegated ones?
Also delegated. So it's really cards that you can play with, for the most part. So it's the ones that show under the playable filter in your collection screen should count for your collection power, because we want people to rent cards. And that's another thing I should mention is I've been talking with Jarvie a lot, and the Peak Monsters group about the rental market. That's something that we really want to promote a lot more heavily, make it much easier to use, integrate it in the main game website, because I think that's such a unique feature that we have, and a really cool one. So that's sort of a project for some time of really promoting the rental market, and Jarvie has a really complicated but really cool plan for how that could work. So we're going to try to figure out the best way to do that, but we really want to promote the rental market and have people both renting and being renters and rentees for cards.
Are Guild Wars scheduled after Collection Score? Any update on Guild Wars? So Collection Score, sort of like a mini thing in between Collection Score and the Guild Wars, is the new player experience. Do you want to share anything about that?
Well, yeah, I think Guild Wars would probably be Cryptomancer's project after Collections Power stuff, and the new player experience can be for some other people to work on. So I'm hoping those will be more in parallel. But at the moment, we're kind of in the design process for both of those. Did you want more on that one?
No, I was going to say stuff like, we're going to handhold players through their first battle experience. so like, what is the new player experience a little bit more? But then, yeah.
Oh, got it. Yeah, the question was more about Guild Wars, so I thought that's what you meant.
Well, right, but I sidestepped it a little bit because I also wanted to bring up that that's not the only piece, or that's not the only thing that's happening. So we have both the new player experience that's happening, along with hopefully we're finishing up the design for like the first look at how guild tournaments will roll out.
Yeah, so Guild Wars and new player experience should happen in parallel. They're both being designed. To Dave's question about the new player experience, I mean, we're basically going to try to do it similar to any other, game or app you would download, where it just, right now it kind of plops you into Splinterlands and you have no idea what's going on or what to do. So we want to make it, initially that it just takes you through a predefined battle where it shows you exactly how to pick cards, why you pick certain cards in certain positions, shows you a battle, explains what's happens, and then after that gives you, links to resources, or just tells you where to find out more information for whatever you want to know, whether it's, how to get better at the game, or how to manage cards, how to buy in the market, how the blockchain integration works, whatever. So that's going to be the initial phase of that, and then we'll do a lot of testing, see how that works, see how many new players go through that process and how they do, and then tweak it and see if we can improve it as much as possible.
Any update on the mobile app?
They've been working on, they finished up the guilds feature, which should hopefully be released like around Monday. Which includes a bunch of like bug fixes and things like that. Separate, once that's kind of been a big thing, and then we're gonna get the Android version ready, hopefully, and I've been told that should happen pretty quickly. That we'll see about getting it actually submitted to the store, but we have to set up like the in-app purchases and things. But it's not that big a project, I don't think, and remove some crypto stuff potentially. So I'm really hoping that, now that we have someone specifically focused on that project, we should see the Android app at least in the App Store soon. I'll TM. So that's where mobile is. And then we're also going to we mentioned the Eos integration, that we're working with the Wombat app. So they're mostly looking at the mobile because the majority of their users use their mobile apps. So we're going to integrate the Eos purchases and log in there, and then they are supposedly going to promote us in their Wombat app to their relatively large crypto user base. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that could be fun. Neil McSpadden was asking, let's see, then Neil will be able to reduce the number of matches. So Backpacking Monk, the current 2-round 2-day tournament is pretty tedious. Specifically, when you are a team share player, you're obligated to play most of the tournaments. Will we be able to reduce the number of matches in these tournaments to make it less tedious? Yeah, I started with top 30% and 2 rounds, and on average 15 matches per round. And players have said that's too much, so I'm sort of letting the rest of the tournaments fall off a bit. I'll probably just make 1 week of tournaments, and then we'll do 20% move on and rounds of 10, and we'll see how that goes.
I guess another option we could try is maybe 12-hour rounds, right? So we could have 2 rounds, but still 24-hour total. See if that should still give, hopefully, people enough time in different time zones to participate. I don't know. That's just another option, because also if we reduce the number of battles, then it's also harder to accurately determine who's the best, right? We'll have more ties and things like that. But just a thought.
Yeah, that can be an experimental week to go figure out if people like the 12-hour tournaments or the 12-hour rounds, or if they like the 24-hour rounds. So we can see. Neil's asking how many free players are playing.
By free players, if he means people that don't buy the spell book.
Correct.
I mean, not a lot. It's not really a free to play game like, traditional free to play games in the App Store. So typically, like the free option is really just to let people try the game before asking them to spend $10, which is really important. But it's usually, either they like it and they get the spell book and move on, or they don't like it and that's that, which is kind of what I would expect. And then the thing is, how can we get more people to be interested in buying the spell book? And that's, I think, where the new player experience and tutorials and just kind of getting people to understand how this game is different than your traditional game, and like why it costs money, and what the additional value is there. I think we need to do a better job getting that across.
So for new players, we had this month, it looks like we've had just shy of 2,200 new players. For new players that have battled, it looks like 12 or 1,300. So there's a gap there that we'd like to close. But that's also like, until that gap closes, that's sort of what we're waiting on to be able to go push marketing some more. So when this new player tutorial rolls out, hopefully we can start advertising a bunch more, and hopefully it gets a little crowded in the Discord, just with all the new faces. What about an incentive for people streaming on Twitch? Well, I actually had a meeting earlier today. I don't know if he shares his name publicly, but I don't know if you guys know the app Cardboard Live. But I met with the founder of Cardboard Live, which is a tool that allows streamers to go get a cut of money from any market transactions that are sort of referred by them. So we'll see if that's the kind of thing that can be applied to Splinterlands, but it's basically like an extension to Twitch that more or less gets streamers a cut of any of the transactions. So that becomes their incentive. So I don't know. He shared that Day 9 uses his service. So I don't know. I have some hopes that that's something that might pan out well, and I'll try to keep following up with them about it. Do we have an updated estimated timeline for the land expansion crowdfunding campaign? Land is still expected by the end of the year. I'm not sure that we have the land pre-sale is expected by the end of the year. I don't know if we have anything more concrete than that at this point. Anything you'd want to add?
Yeah, we're also not. I mean, I'm not sure it'll necessarily be a crowdfunding campaign, as in like a Kickstarter or something, versus just a pre-sale through our website. I mean, that's all TBD.
Several players have complained about connection issues or fleeing or team submissions not being submitted. Matt, do you want to talk a little bit about the solution you've been working on?
Yeah, so I think I talked about this a little once before, but a lot of times when people are using Keychain, which I know, I'm also in charge of building, but we, as in Splinterlands, the website can't control like what node you're connected to or anything like that. So if you're using Keychain, the website just says, "Hey Keychain, we need to broadcast this transaction." But if there's any issue there's nothing that the website can do, which makes it difficult. And recently there's been intermittent issues here and there with certain nodes. And then if you log into the website just with your username and key and posting key or password, then we can just try different nodes until it works and sort of ensure that the transaction goes through, but not with Keychain, and also not with like a Hive signer or anything like that. So I have a different solution, which I'm hoping should be live next week, where instead of actually broadcasting the transaction from the website or from Keychain or wherever, you only sign the transaction. So it'll ask Keychain just to sign the transaction, and then I set up a service where you can just send signed transactions to, and it will do whatever it possibly can to just make sure those transactions get on the blockchain. So I'm hoping that will just help if any nodes have issues from time to time, or regardless of what players are using to sign the transactions, it'll just do everything we possibly can to get them on the blockchain and just resolve those issues where transactions don't go through sometimes.
So if you're having node problems and it's not Splinterland's fault, this would be a service that kind of rotates nodes to make sure that your transaction gets there.
Yeah, it's just basically taking the responsibility away from the players, sort of to get their transactions published to the blockchain. And all the players do is sign the transactions with their private keys, and then we handle getting them on the blockchain.
Question. You mentioned you were going to be redoing the rewards at some point. Do you have any thoughts on how that will affect new players? And for that matter, what do you believe the impact will be on the other tiers?
Well, I mean, I kind of discussed what the thing is with new players. I mean, it's gonna require investment in cards to move up. So I don't think it really changes all that much for new players, right? Because at the moment they would pretty much need to buy or acquire cards somehow to move up anyway. But I think it's really important that they, through the new player experience, players understand, why it requires an investment, a monetary investment to get cards, the different available options there are to do that, and like what the value proposition is as compared to traditional like free to play games.
Question. What about a per card stat page? So you can see which cards contributed the most damage. Also would be nice to have this for teams. I'm not quite sure how we would display that, but more stats for the individual cards.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds cool, but I don't think that's something that would be a priority for us. It's just it all comes down to a matter of priorities. So that's sort of like a cool, neat thing that I would be cool to have, but I don't know that that's like a high priority thing to do.
All right. How much will Guild Wars be like tournaments versus ranked play? You can see the image of him shuffling. All right, so how much will Guild Wars be like tournaments versus ranked play? I mean, so with like tournaments, you just kind of sign up. They'll be somewhat similar to tournaments because, you'll sign up and you'll have some matches. But part of what I think will be fun is kind of how you have to figure out with a team, like who's handling which battles. And you might not know all of the rules, but you should know some of like the basics. And the basics will be different for every single match. So somewhat like, I think they're closer to tournaments, but you won't just have any random thing. There'll be some details that will make you inclined to pick certain battles that you'll be partaking in while your teammates fight the other ones. What is planned? What is the planned reward for defeating bosses in boss battles?
That's TBD at this point.
Yeah, sweet loot. Loot's coming. Product suggestions. How do you feel about some kind of passive DEC yield for gold cards? Some small percentage of daily, weekly, or monthly, whatever DEC payouts for just owning the cards, similar to how SP Delegation earned a DEC payout in the past. Is this technically feasible?
Well, it's certainly technically feasible. I don't think we would do it like just simply you have gold cards and you get a payout. I mean, one thing is if we can, grow the rental market a lot more, that's a way you can earn from just having cards if they're a lot easier to rent and there's a lot more people looking to rent. But I think that's something that will also factor into our plans for the land expansion to the game. Will be the ability to like use cards that you aren't using for battles in some way on your land to help production of new resources, which and new cards and things like that. So there'll be there'll be some like idle value just from having cards. It's something that we want to do. I mean, it's like we want to encourage people to hold cards, sort of like a staking mechanism. But I think we want to do something, different than just simply handing out dark energy crystals.
Are the lands scheduled anytime soon? We talked about, pre-sale we're expecting to be by the end of the year. So that's as much as I think we'll share. Question: after a bit of drama over the past month or so, how do you feel about the state of the game? You want to take a first shot at that, Matt?
Ironically, the drama has helped our numbers look really, really good, right? I mean, like market sales have been through the roof. There's been some really big card sales. Thank you, Gold Matters. So I think the fact that so many, if there were a lot of people dumping cards and there were no buyers, that would have pretty much showed that things were going downhill. But if people dump cards and other players step up to buy them, then that just shows that things are going pretty well, I think. And it's actually, I was pretty bummed about a lot of stuff that was going on for a while, and I'm very pleasantly surprised at how things have gone and how really you guys have responded to that. And it's our goal has never changed, but it's even more exciting, I think, to grow this game and do whatever we can to reward all of you guys that stepped up and bought a bunch of cheap cards on the market. Like we just hope that that'll be amazing for you guys down the road.
So the metrics that I stare at all the time are how many games are being played, how many users are engaging, market volume. So battles, we literally hit the all-time high number of battles yesterday. We had 120,035. I mean, that's an amazing single day. You guys are crazy. In terms of users, for just we had 5,981, which is actually our all-time high. So, and that's not counting the. Today, I should be able to see a big spike for the users that are here just to go buy and sell the rewards cards. So, I would expect that we'll breach the all-time high, like literally the all collectively highest number of users in a single day. So that would be I don't know, that looks good. I didn't look at sales volume. I don't think it's updating, but look, man, for what we're seeing in terms of market activity, like you guys are buying a lot of cards that are on the market. It's almost as if there were some people that were selling them for little money, and you guys saw it as a big deal or a great deal, and then purchased many of them because we're seeing fantastic volume through the market. So I don't know if that will be unlimited. I mean, at some point, people don't have cards to dump anymore. So I guess enjoy it as long as that lasts, because we'll see how much longer that can last. All right. How many new players did the game get this season? Again, I don't know the season numbers, but I did just quote the, what did I say? It was like 2,500 here. I'm pulling it up.
I think it was 2,200 roughly. So just
yeah,
divide that by 2 and probably be roughly for the season.
Yeah, 2,174. Although today is still counting, so it'll be over 2,200. It's like 70 per day is how many new accounts we're getting on average, and that's without us doing any spend on marketing. And then half of those are roughly. No, it's better. It's better than that. I don't know, like 60% of them are battling. Any updates on the inventory for skins and titles?
Yeah, that's there's just like I talked about the few like kind of main projects that are our primary focus, and then there's like all these other things that get worked on slowly here and there where we can. So we have like the redesign done, sort of, not a redesign, but updates to the collection screen to show the inventory items, which include titles and skins and avatars and things like that. So then there's a whole process of like, converting skins over to that system, because skins were made obviously long before that was planned. So they work kind of differently, and everything needs to work the same way. So there's some work to be done there, and then that'll allow people to like view their non-card items and at least transfer them. And then as like a second phase, we'll start to like make them, make some market functionality for them.
Will there be larger land requirements for certain buildings, or will all building types be available to all plots?
I think the plan was that all the plots would be the same size, right?
Yeah, but not all building types will be available to all plots. So if you have the right building plot, it should be able to go build all the buildings that are there. But like, there are a couple land types where only certain restricted buildings will be able to be built there. But it's not like you'll need 8 of them to be able to build the building.
Right, yeah. And still all like just, theoretical right now. Things can change. So there's a lot of talk about the titles. So I really wanted to make the titles be pretty rare. I didn't want it to be a situation where like half the players in the game have a title and it's kind of not an exciting thing. So I want it to be like, relatively few players have a title at all. So it's so they're, we're planning to do more titles, but they'll probably be for like more specific things than just like every 500 boosters bought. But that type of stuff, we can also do other things. One thing we also have is
achievements.
Well, yeah, but the achievements also go into there's titles that can go before your name. So you could be Aggroed the Untamed, but you could also be Lord Aggroed the Untamed. So that's something we haven't really put in yet, but that's the type of thing. Like there might be a bunch of different levels. Like you could start at like Squire and move up to Archmage or something like that, which can and maybe Maverick could be one of those levels too. So that's what I'm thinking, more for like a prefix title than a postfix title. And then also we have Nate's been working with some third-party artists on some really cool custom avatars that you could have. Some of them might have like some little animation to them, so they're like very obviously cooler than the standard ones that we can give out for different ways. So things like that.
All right. After a good reception from the guys over at Zendo, are there any more plans on communicating with them? Yeah, Tendo from Zenzo was a good guy. Glad I had that conversation. That was a group that Carrie had found. Again, Carrie Allen from the marketing side of things. So we keep looking for other partnerships and people that have communities, and as long as I have time on my calendar, I'll go meet with anybody to go talk about the game or go on their shows or give them promo codes or do what we can to introduce new audiences here. So I keep pushing that, and I don't know if there's specific things that you want to see out of it, then let us know, or go bug them, or I don't know. We're open to that. I'm hoping we end up in the App Store. I believe this would explode our game. Is that a goal we are looking at? If so, a timeline. Matt shared the next one that's likely to happen in the quote-unquote soon time range is getting into the Android store.
I also would say, like, I don't expect just putting it in the App Store to explode the game or really do anything by itself. So I think it's that will really help us with all of our other marketing efforts, but we also need to do our work on the new player experience and all that stuff, and it all like just works together. And I'm hoping like all those things combined will help explode the game.
When will Splinterlands create a competitive tournament with fair rules for only one player with an account? No multi-accounts, no bots. First off, I don't. This is a grammar joke, but I don't think a tournament with only one player will be fun. But
He means one, like one player, one account per player in the tournament.
yeah, I know. All right, Matt, you want to take a shot at that, or?
Yeah, I mean, so I think I don't know that Splinterlands is because first of all, there's no way we can enforce, or tell if people are playing on multiple accounts. Anything we do to detect that, people could just get around. So I think we want to add more customizability to tournaments to allow other people to run tournaments and either only allow specific people in or whatever they want to do really, and kind of make their own rules for their tournaments. I guess I'd see that being how it works. As far as what we're doing with tournaments, I think we've been pretty clear that we want to at least make sure it's we use some type of collection power metric to make sure that everyone in the tournament is at least competitive. But there's no real good way that makes sense for us to limit it to one account or one player per account. Yeah, one account per player or anything like that.
Okay, timeline for achievements.
Yeah, that's something I don't have a timeline for right now because it's not one of our highest priority projects that we're actively working on.
Okay. Would you ever add transferable, sellable emotes to the game in guild chat, similar to Clash Royale? Yeah, I love this idea.
Yeah, I think any of those kind of things would be cool. I mean, one of other types of things that we'd like, maybe that will be from Guild Wars rewards would be things like getting custom guild banners and guild icons and stuff like that. So I think all that kind of customizable stuff is really good.
I think any way to go trash talk your opponent without screaming obscenities, but little dancing emotes of if you won and you had a legendary emote that they'd have to watch for 10 seconds before they could play their next match, that'd be amazing to me. You could just harass your buddies. So I like that idea. But yeah, skins and emotes and little taunts, if you lose the match and you can hear the voice taunting you, you did a great job if you were trying to lose. I mean, just weird little things I think would be pretty funny. Are we going to be? When are we going to learn what the Untamed title will be used for? Or are we going to learn what the Untamed title will be used for 12 months after Kickstarter? Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the plan for that is something likely with the lands and the expansion there. It just gives us a lot more flexibility for using different things. So from that, I don't know that we'll necessarily know exactly what the benefit will be before 12 months. But I think that's the current plan.
Why the Untamed title is not obtainable by buying some amount of packs? Wouldn't it make some sense? Yeah, this was a Kickstarter exclusive thing, so you can't just buy your way in. Question: is one of the reasons for going into the app stores yet that they take a 30% cut of sales? Will that be a factor? Have you considered that?
Yeah, that's not a factor at all. I mean, the reasons they can take 30% cut of sales is because they hopefully bring in a ton more sales. So we're happy, but we'll pay that, if it helps us grow the game, much more than that to compensate. So that has nothing to do with why it's not in the app stores yet. It's really just, we wanted to have it earlier this year. A lot of crap came up that changed that timeline. But now, like I mentioned, that we have someone dedicated to that project who literally just started a couple weeks ago. That's going to be moving forward, hopefully much, much faster.
What about sharing the roadmap through a pipeline for better transparency and enthusiasm of what is to come? Would you want like a public, um, shoot, what's the service? I can't think of the name. I'm blanking on the name. Would you want like a public roadmap kind of thing that people can poke through?
I mean, I'm all for being open with what we're doing. What I don't want to do is just create a ton of work to just put all this information in a specific format. And just always make sure everything's updated. I mean, that stuff can be a bit of a project in itself. So I think to start it, we could maybe try to just post more often with, roadmap of what we're working on and timelines for things. That might hopefully be enough and be a good balance between getting more information out and not spending too much time on that.
Yeah, maybe if we had like a good template, we could kind of just roll through it, because at some point it's the same people all the time, and the project should be the same project, but it should be moving through the different stages of like UX to UI to coding to actually production servers to testing to going live. Like, if maybe we can create some kind of template there to follow. All right, we have just a couple more minutes. Any plans for an official merch store? Yeah, I'm working on a merch store with some folks. So it hopefully you'll be able to go buy dark energy, or you'll be able to use your dark energy crystals, or just regular fiat or any like Hive, to be able to go buy some swag from Splinterlands. So I'm working on that. Hopefully that'll be there. How about rival guilds, when you get a DEC bonus when you beat someone belonging to your enemy guild? Well, let's get the Guild Wars up and running first before adding more stuff to them. But that's not a bad idea. I'm looking for the next question at Aggroed. The ambassador program is on hold because of coronavirus. How to adjust the program? No, I mean, that thing is really meant to be like an in-person, see the sign, scan it with your phone. So I think the sort of marketing stuff that's on my brain is get the new player out, and then start pushing Brave ads and see if they work, and go back to doing some Facebook stuff and see how that's going. When are you getting private invite-only tournaments? I mean, you can do it now. You can go build your own tournament, put in your own password, and you have a private tournament.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be good to have like the ability to specifically invite only certain people, because the password always gets leaked. So again, that's something that is going to come down to priorities, and it's not a high priority right now, I would say.
Is a new reward structure available to look at yet? I'm imagining that's for tournaments, because he's asking me. I mean, I'm not going to drastically change the tournament structure and the tournament payouts until the collection score is altering who's participating in the tournaments. And then I'll start running experiments about that. So that's still there. To build on Gringo's question a while back, Cryptomancer previewed features like invite only, also optional CAPTCHA. Oops, I think I have somebody at my door. One moment, Matt, will you?
Yeah. All right. Yeah,
Nope.
I'll check on the status of that with him and see if it's something we can get out. The thing is, with anything, even with like the littlest change, we have to do a good amount of testing, because they can break anything. So it's a matter of if we want to, kind of spend the time on that or not. But I'll see if it's done and won't be too much of a project. it's something we wanted to do, which is why he worked on it. So we'll see. Yeah, I guess I'll try to wrap up there because I also have to go now. There's one more question from Beehiver. So Gringo, yeah, sorry, I'm jumping around. So Gringo had a question first. Get new card images fixed on the CDN. Well, we have card images with all the stats on them, like the one you're showing. So, it's up to Peak Monsters or other sites if they want to upgrade to the versions with the stats versus the ones that don't have the stats. And then Beehiver says, what about using an exchange instead of Hive engines for DEC tokens? Yeah, I mean, they're tradable on Tron Trade for TRX right now, and we are trying to get one that uses the ERC20 version on Ethereum. But we're open to getting it listed anywhere that would want to list it. So that's something we definitely want to do.
All right, so it's been an hour. Let's go close this one down, and then we'll be here next week. And if you guys have other questions, that we're certainly able to answer them. So I would just say thank you to the players. Thanks for coming in, playing this game, and being a really enthusiastic community member. Thank you, Matt, for being here and answering questions. And I know a lot of people have them, and I don't know. I'm grateful to the community. I'm totally stoked for the end of the year. We got a lot of stuff that we're rolling out, and I don't know. Congratulations for the end of this last season, and I don't know. Things are going good, and so with that, I'm gonna go close up the recording, and we'll be back in a week. Thanks, guys.